like twice, 3 times. Anapelekwa kwa bush, alafu anaulizana, na hapa iko sawa? Yani hapo wamemalizie hapo. Maximum fear and the terrorism.
Thank you, Your Excellency and colleagues who are here, and members of the Fourth Estate. I hope I'll be able to give the story without being emotional. But I want to break it into 2 parts. And part 1 is at the burial the day before, and at the burial of Erastus. The day before the burial, Rigathi, the former deputy president, called me and he asked me to represent him in that funeral committee with 50,000 shillings. And he also said that he would attend that burial. So when I went there, I found so many people, roughly about 300 of them. And when I spoke to them, because they gathered, I spoke about what Rigathi had told me, pole, kwa familia, and then I also brought my pole. And then I told them, for what Rigathi is doing in our community or our area, I would be pleased if Rigathi himself, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, who is here, somebody like Matiang'i, brother Eugene, and the rest of them, would join hands and liberate this country from what we are going through. The people who are there were very excited, extremely excited, even to hear that Rigathi was going to come. But more importantly, when they heard that there is intention to bring all of us together so that we can liberate our country. That was the day before. And so I told Rigathi watu wamepokea vizuri na wamesema unaweza kuja. And therefore the next day he called me and asked me, can you wait for me in an appointed place so that we can go together? And we did so. And he came and we went. I'm trying to make it short. And on reaching there, we found very excited crowd. Because I can tell you, on our arrival, an announcement that we have arrived, the crowd went wild. They were cheering, they welcomed us. The MC also did the same. We got a place where to sit. But when we sat, I observed one thing that was unique. That the area MP, one John Kirago had declined to sit where the VIP tent was, and he decided to go and sit where the Akorino bishops were. And I asked, why would it happen? I just asked somebody. And they said he was offered and he declined. And so we sat in and listened to the people who were speaking, and then we listened to the sermon. Everything was looking okay. But at one point, when the bishop, the main bishop, was preaching, there was sudden influx of young men, who came from 3 different directions. Most of them did not come to stand or sit where we were. What they did is that they sat next to the fence, others near the gate, and the rest were somewhere near the toilet. And at one time I remember I went to the washroom, and there is, now when I was thinking later, there was this one person who had a cape and had a mask, was like hooded, who from afar escorted me to the toilet, though I had my voice. Then he came back and went behind the VIP tent. I did not take offense because I didn't know who he was. I'm saying that because you will hear what happens when I get into the Subarus. So many people spoke, but I want to bring it to where I was invited by the area MCA. And the area MCA specifically, he actually hit out at the local MP for going to vote no, to vote yes against Rigathi. For that impeachment motion, as his vote was the vote of Limuru, and he said that was not our wish. Na watu wakapiga makofi sana. Then he is the one who invited me. I broke my speech into two. One, and I told the people, I'll give message of condolence, which I did. The second, I'll tell you why I will talk about Rigathi. So the first part went on well. Then I came to the second part, and I started talking about how Rigathi had come and campaigned against me. However, I was now sharing a platform with him because we had decided to bury our interest in the greater interest of the community and the region. And as I started talking about Rigathi, there was a huge surge of youth who came specifically to the VIP tent. And I noted that VIP tent was like a target. So I was speaking and looking at them and trying to bring peace, telling them I'm peaceful, everybody who is here is peaceful. And they said, don't tell us about Rigathi. We would have voted for you, but he told us not to vote for you. I told them, that's fine. Even me, I would even probably not speak to him. But now that we have a common problem, we need to move together. They now started shouting back, said, no, we are not going to allow it. The first person to shout that, I told him, just relax. I explained, then you tell me whether what I've said is okay. But another person, a second one, shouted back. The third event was somebody who pulled out the support of the tent. In that tent, that I'm seeing now, when I saw the tent was collapsing on him, I kind of stopped. Because I wondered, where am I going? A visitor is almost going down with the tent. But they pushed me out. Some of them are here. And of course, Rigathi had his own security. They took him to the car and held both Ruth. They ran after us. And I want to make this clear that they had intentions. Because for the first time, I ran frantically for 2 kilometers.
You look like a marathon.
And what still is because it was downhill. So by the time I got where I was going, my knees were aching. Yeah, it's not a laughing matter, but we can laugh about it. And then at one time again we got onto the road, and then we saw those guys coming. Then they said, my guys told me, you know, these guys are carrying machetes, they are carrying pangas, some nut rungus. So the best thing you can do to spita barabara, when they see they can't get you, wataingia kwa bodaboda, alafu watafika mahali tuko. And indeed I did that. And therefore we got into one of the houses. I want to believe he's a cousin of Baba Yao, because he so introduced himself. And when we got there, he told us, you are not going to pass through the actual path. Mutapitia kwa majani, mutapitia kwa mahindi, na mutapitia kwa napier grass, and into the forest so that they don't see you. When we explained what was happening. And he quickly said, can you take off? Because probably he imagined what kind of harm there was going to be. So we took off, and we ended up in some road. And one of my PAs, then I told him, now that we're here, what do we do? I cannot go to walking to the main road. I don't know what will happen. So he said, we'll ask for a taxi. And he asked for a taxi. And this taxi came, it was very near the main road. And because I knew these guys probably would come to the shopping center of Bibioni, I decided then I'll tell the taxi to drive me away towards Naivasha, and wherever I'll be, probably I look for a vehicle and used to get home, and that's what they did. In the meantime, I was trying to call my guys. My driver was not picking, but at least one of the guys picked and he said, "It's okay. Vehicles have been hammered, but where we end up to, you just go. We will see what to do." So to me, I took off on the way towards flyover. There's a center called flyover, and we were in that taxi. There are two Subarus. One black came in front. One green was at the back, but the one that came in front just stopped askew in front of us. And then this other one, when we checked, it was just almost knocking the bumper of the taxi. So two guys came from the front one. They opened the rear door. I was seated with the area MCA. I had my phone, and I'm saying that because the area MCA's phone had fallen off. Where is it? He said, "I cannot trace it." Tukapiga ikawa inalia lakini haichukulia. Akaniambia imeanguka huko kwa kiwanja. Sasa yangu nilikuwa naye. And when they took us into the first vehicle, a few meters, like 100, they stopped again. Both of them very close range, and they pulled him out into the rear car. And then a guy came from behind, and I was sandwiched. Macu. All these guys were hooded. And I said this because Kalembele, I spoke about somebody who was hooded in the barrio. And now, these guys who are inside the Subaru, all of them, including the driver, are hooded. They have a mask. And they have, one had a cape and the others had baklava. Now, one of the things I was told is lazima utatii na utakaa hapo, na tukikuuliza, I'm saying this because they were speaking in Swahili, na tukikuuliza kitu ujibu. Umesikia? The only time I was allowed to check sideways, because later they told me usiangalie kando, uangalie mbele, is only when they asked, unaona hii ni nini? Na pande hiyo ingine ni nini? Those were shotguns. I've been a chairman of security, I know them. Now, one of the significant things is, nimeona they have shotguns. The numbers, the vehicles don't have number plates, and the guy in front has a walkie-talkie. So my conclusion was, who would be like this, driving a vehicle like this? Having seen what Jay-Z was going through, nikajua I am in for it. And so I said I'll answer. And the long and short of it, the questions were telling. One question I was asked immediately is whether I love myself. And I said yes. The second thing they asked is, do you have a wife? And I said yes. Do you love her? And I said yes. Tunaenda tu. Do you have children? Yes. How many? Nikawambia I have 4 children. 2 boys, 2 girls. Nikaenda kueleza, you are talking too much. You must answer after you are asked a question. So nikasema ndio saa. And therefore they asked, do you have these children? Yes. Wanafanya kazi? Ndio. Unawapenda? Ndio. Haya. Then they kept quiet. Tukafika kwa that place called flyover. They took the road towards, I think it goes to Thika. Yes. And it passes through some forest. Wakajama, that road is rough. And those guys can drive very roughly. Nikuwa nasikia people unagonga tu. And you know now, since they are holding their shotguns here, ikitingika hivi unasikia ni kama you have been shot. So I'm saying my last prayers anyway. You don't know what is happening. And tukafika mahali kuna msitu na kuna stinging nettles. In Kikuyu we call it thafai. I don't know whether that's the right word. Yes. So when we reached there, One of them asked, hapa ni sawa? Akasema hapana. But the other one said no. Tukaenda kidogo, wanaingia kwa msitu. Na hapa hapana. Can tell me which road it goes towards that hospital Kijadi or something. Yes. And they got they stopped at some forest. And then hata mmoja alitoka hapo. Kauliza hapo ni sawa? Akasema hapa ni sawa. Mimi nikasema no, that is it. I'm done. At that point, jamaa karudi, akasema hebu niambie, wewe uko na Twitter account? Nikamwambia ndio. Nani anakuandikia hiyo Twitter account? Nikasema ni mimi, I do it. Ni vitu gani unaandika hapo? Nikamwambia naandika zile vitu na ukota kutoka kwa group na vile Kenya kunaendelea, kama kuna shida naandika. Kwa hivyo wewe ndio unajua sana. Kaambia hapana, ukiangalia zile vitu nimeandika zote ni zile watu wengine wanasema. Na wewe unapenda serikali? I know I lied because I said yes. But I don't like it.
To survive.
Yeah, I lied. I said yes. I said, wakasema, haya, twende. So we went down and they got onto the Mahi road, and then we took off towards Narok. Now towards Narok, we got into a place, kuna mahali hakuna manyumba, but there are some thickets. They stopped there. That was the third time. I said, hapa ndio mwisho. So I didn't know whether ni mwisho wa safari ama ni mwisho yangu. Kasema hapa ni sawa kabisa. So I asked, nilikuwa mnataka nifanye aje? Because mimi sijaongea kitu mbaya. Mkiangalia vile niliongea pale kwa mazishi, nyamaza. Sisi tuko kazi. They said, keep quiet, we are doing our work. Kasema asante. Even bad things wakisema nasema asante. Then all of a sudden then wakapinduka, and from that point towards Mahi, there was intense discussion between them and somebody. Ule alikuwa mbele ndio alikuwa anauliza, wanasema kilo chali bravo something, vitu kama hizo. I know it's some coded word and mostly used by police. Now having been a chair of security, I know that. And maybe other people they use. But now I'm convinced that hizi magari hasima namba, watu wako na guns, wamejihud na wanaongea kilo chali, and I saw what happened to the agency. Then I knew I was obviously with those kind of people who are molesting peace-loving Kenyans just to stifle democracy. And so they took off talking, very coded, extremely coded the language, na wakaja towards Nairobi, branched off. In fact, kuna mahali walipitia wrong side pale ndio waingie Southern Bypass. And they got into Southern Bypass. They started driving slowly. There was a conversation that was intense with the coded words. And then they said, unajua tunaweza kukua. Now, when they said this, and I knew that road goes towards Ngong Forest, I knew my life is over. Nikasema ndio, but hakuna kitu kibaya mimi nimefanya. Na hakuna mtu nimetusi. And so, tukaja tu, then they started speeding. And that conversation, finally how it ended along bypass was, yes sir, copied. The last word was, yes sir, copied. After copied, brakes, zikapigwa brakes, gari. I was alone. I never saw, I don't know how we lost the other one. But you know, I was told to face front. So sijui kama ingine inakuja ama ikuji, sijui, I'm only seeing hapa in between this guy and the driver. And therefore, along, when they said, yes sir, copied, wakapiga brakes, gari kasimama. They told me, toka umbwa wewe. And so I got out in the middle of mimi sikuwa na nyumba, sikuwa na nini. Nikajua sasa it's me and my God and prayer.
What time was it?
I can't tell time because they had actually, maybe I forgot to say, they had told me to switch off my phones. And I had switched them off. And I couldn't, because now you have been put somewhere, it's dark. You don't want to attract the attention of somebody, probably, aona mwangaza ya simu. You want also to move in the dark somehow. And so I didn't. So they put me on the side going towards Langata. And I thought they wanted to shoot me. So the moment they moved, I crossed on to the other side. And I went kwa beach. Nikapitia sasa hiyo kama ni mtaro. Walking and running and checking whether any vehicle is coming. Okay, I guess it was between 600 or 800 meters. I got onto the road that branches off from Karen. I started running towards Karen in the middle of the road. And that's where I met with one boda fellow. Nilikuwa na karibu nimshikilia hivi. Namuomba tafadhali, shouting. But they stopped mbali. Nikamwambia ni wakora wananichapa. Nipatie lift, hata nitalipa. By the way, those guys never took anything from me. Hawakuchukua simu, hawakuchukua pesa, hawakuchukua anything. So he stopped and said, weka hapo nikufikisha hapa utauawa. And so I told him, drop me at the Great Corner. I knew I would get a taxi. Then along the way, I think he saw it was easy. Nikamwambia nimedropiwa hapo na wakora na nilijua hapo ni pabaya. Akaniambia naenda Kilimani. Nikamwambia drop me there at Kilimani. So at Kilimani I picked a cab which took me home. Na nikamwambia kijana wangu, you go pay for me the taxi. At least we have evidence that is what has brought me. Okay. That is how it was.
Well done. Thank you. I guess that is very clear, and you can now see the intensity, the horrific harassment of Kenyans.